When I got to VTubing, I didn't know this much shenanigans going on your desktop. I mean, there's so many things you should handle. The normal assistant shouldn't. Like, there is your shortcuts for your emotes, things like that, like this. And there is iTunes for iPhone tracking, that for some reason your iPhone tracking works if iTunes is open. And there's so many more that normal streamers shouldn't handle in real time. And as a newer, I was quite confused on what to do with all of this. Not to mention that I have really bad short-term memory. So what ended up happening is that I didn't use my emotes for a long time, because I couldn't remember which buttons is assigned to what. Then I saw a video, replayed this video, and from the repetition of her words, I noticed, well, this isn't really unnatural. Literally, if she's emphasizing on that, it means almost every VTuber forgot about that.
Flashback. Your audio settings again. Check your settings. Check your settings. Check it. I swear to God. Check your fucking audio settings. Your toggles. Your audio. Your... Do you know where your toggles are? Do you know which keys they're binded to? Check all of your fucking settings right now. Do it. Check your fucking settings again. It works. Oops, check your settings a third time. Know where your hotkeys are. Check them. I had to check my hotkeys 75 million times. If you don't know where your hotkeys are and you are scrambling to find them, that is not ideal. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a settings checking break now. Are you sure you know where your hotkeys are? Oh, you do? Are you fucking sure? Are you sure? Could you press them with your fucking eyes closed? I swear. Comes back to check your OBS. I think that is something that, because otherwise you need to use like hotkeys on your keyboard to do a lot of stuff.
End of flashback.
And there is so many shenanigans going on. So I decided to make an application for myself called VHelp that actually is for helping myself with my VTubing. And for a long time, it actually was helping me. But I decided to say, you know what? If I can use it properly, why should not help other people? So I started developing it more and more. So the thing is, VHelp really, at this point, it just helps on the shortcut. But later on, it will help on anything. Like OBS, even if you don't have a stream deck, it gives you a virtual stream deck. If you need a virtual keyboard for your shortcuts, it gives you that. There is so many features that I have in mind. But for now, it's just shortcut engines that I have been completing because I needed my shortcut as fast as possible. So that's what ended up being developed. But now I'm sharing it to everyone. So I give it proper UI, I give it proper shortcut handling, because I was actually hard coding my shortcut. It wasn't like that, oh, I added this by UI. No. I was hard coding it by the C++ language. I'm not even kidding. So I needed to change the engine a little bit that handled the shortcuts a little bit. I needed to design the whole UI for it. So how does it work? Okay, for now, because I have a second keyboard lying around, it's a broken keyboard. It's not like I'm going to use it for my main keyboard, but I didn't want to throw it out either. So I decided, okay, how I can remap this keyboard. There's a useful tutorial by Linus Tech Tips that they combine low macro keys with auto hotkey to create a keyboard specific macros, but that has its own limitations, which is it doesn't apply to like blocking the key. So it executes what you want, but it doesn't block it. So if you like attach another macro to that specific key on your second keyboard, well, good luck with that key. So for a while it was automating that, but then I was like, I want to block the key so I can attach a specific key combination or a specific keys to a specific macros, and I ended up designing a whole engine just to handle that. Well, I'm going to make another video about how it handles everything, because Microsoft in designing this engine was pain. Microsoft was a pain. So I'm not going to describe how it works, but how to use it with its UI. Okay, so it comes with an installer, pretty normal. Okay, you install it, it needs a restart. Yes, the restart is forced because if you don't, it will not work until the next restart. It actually cannot read any keyboard stroke until the next restart. I will say why is it that way. It's because of Microsoft, but it's going to be in the technical description video, not this video. In the UI, if it's the first time that you're opening this program, you need to press a key on your second keyboard. It can be any key. It doesn't matter. Okay? It has a limitation that it should not be numpad keys, extra keys, which is insert, delete, and Control Alt Shift F1. Those I'm going to fix those late in the next releases because there's a limitation in the way that Windows describes those keys. Not from me actually. From me it should have been like describe all the keys. But as always with Microsoft, there's limitations. Microsoft really likes to do everything in BS way. When you press a key on that second keyboard, it will save the keyboard and it will never ask you again unless you press a certain button, which I'll get to that. Okay, then the UI is pretty simple and modern. You see a plus, you see a refresh button, you see a keyboard button. The plus will add a new macro for you. In the input key, you add or decrease the amount of keys that you want to use on your second keyboard. Like you want to use combination of F, G, and H. So you create 3 keys on the input key and put them on F, G, and H. Okay. On output keys, it has it's not actually a kind of limitation. It's actually me being lazy. That I straight up use the Windows naming. So it's actually Windows naming is VK, which is short for virtual key. And for alphabetic keys, there is like VK key. For those that are from the like operating system, it's called OEM. Okay, you don't need to like keep those in mind, just the others. So you select your key combination of output, like the shortcut that you want to use. Like for example, for me, disappointment is attached to QD. Okay, the output is VKF18. You don't need to keep in mind the VK outputs F18 to the VTubers studio. There's a program specific things here that I need to describe, but if I press D on my first keyboard, nothing will happen. But if I press D on my second keyboard, it will make the disappointment emote. On the above, you write the program executable name, including the .exe. Okay, so for VTubers Studio, it's VTubeStudio.exe. For OBS, it's OBS64.exe. You write the executable name in .exe. Okay, it will get connected to the program and it sends output to that specific program. So you can actually like assign one key to different programs to execute different things. And that's pretty helpful, I guess, because imagine I want for disappointment to something happen on OBS as well. Okay, I can assign D for both disappointment of VTuber Studio and whatever macro I have on OBS. And it will execute both, not at the same time. There is a thing here, which is using DirectX API. This thing is pretty sensitive because the way Windows works, it accepts from the programs that using DirectX for the programs that are not using DirectX differently. So VTubers are actually using DirectX, so it's sending key in a different way. Why this part I'm mentioning this? Because it's supposed to be like disabled and you should just see if it's going DirectX or not, but I ended up enabling it for manipulating it. The reason is that the key that sends to DirectX, it gets sent to whole operating system as well. So if you send F15 to VTuber Studio and VTuber Studio is using DirectX, F15 is sent to OBS as well. It sends to we bring it as well. It's sent to all other programs. But if it's not using the DirectX, for example, OBS actually uses the file of DirectX, but not using the whole DirectX. So keys that OBS accepts is just that key, and the key doesn't get sent to other programs. So keep that in mind, that the keys that you send to DirectX is sent to all applications, but the keys that you send to non-DirectX program is just to that program. It's just how Microsoft works. So why I ended up enabling it? That's simple. Because Microsoft didn't have put any obvious method to recognize if a program is using DirectX or not. And that's super confusing. So what I ended up doing is that I'm checking the files that the program is using. So if the program is using DirectX files, it just straight up says, okay, it's DirectX API, no question asked. But no usage of DirectX have been found. It says, okay, we send the key to this application specifically. So while for OBS it doesn't do that, because I hard-coded it for OBS. I hard-coded it that it always post hotkeys to OBS in non-DirectX manner, but only OBS. I cannot test for all games. I cannot test for all applications. I cannot test for all VTubing programs. I tried my best here with the limited knowledge that I had. So that's why the tick is there. If for some reason it recognized that a program is using DirectX and it wasn't, you can actually put the tick off and it will save it and it will load it. If by any accident or chance it saw that, oh, this application uses this DirectX file, so it's DirectX API and I should send this to DirectX and it gets go to all applications, but the application is using DirectX for a specific purpose and it's not using as a whole in general, you can put the tick off to just send the key to that program. But if the program is using DirectX and you put the tick off, it will not read it. So, for example, VTube Studio uses DirectX as a whole. So, for VTube Studio, the tick should be on. But if you put the tick off for VTube Studio, it acts as VTube Studio is a non-DirectX program and VTube Studio will not read it. At the same time, OBS use DirectX only for recording, but doesn't use DirectX as a whole. If you put the tick on, it will read it, but the key outputs will get sent to all programs. It gets a little confusing. So better to pay attention to that. But if you put the tick off for OBS, it will only send the key strokes to the OBS. And that's the beneficial of it. Okay? The most confusing part is that, and this confusion made by Microsoft and not me. Imagine this is the most simple confusions that I have solved by Microsoft. There is so many things going on that were confusing me in this project. I somehow ended up solving it, but for DirectX, this is the best solution that I could have come up with. You have set your program names and everything. You don't need to at first put DirectX because it will not get connected. You either can reject the macro that will delete it, or you can accept it. If you accept it, the function of these two gets different. The accept remains kind of the same, that it's still, you make change to your macro and it will accept the macro, but canceling it gets different. Because at the start, when you make changes, there is nothing you have accepted yet. The cancel button just remove the macro, okay? But after accepting the first time, the cancel button will not remove it. If you make any changes, and then you, for some reason, regret that these changes should be made, should be original, you can just put the cancel button and it brings back everything to whatever you have accepted previously. When you accept it, the trash button comes out. That's when you delete the macro actually, after accepting. It will show an image holder here. For sake of optimization, it realizes which programs is running or not. Ideally, this part should be ran every time that you press any key on your second keyboard. And actually, that's what AutoHotkey does. But there is different design choices here because Auto Hotkey actually have chose that it execute the macros on the program that you're currently working on. But VTubing is not like that. I may be playing, I want something a keystroke to OBS. So I'm not maybe working with OBS currently, but I want to change its behavior still. So I couldn't implement that part. Why? Two reasons. First, Windows requires you to change to that window that you want to recognize if that application is running or not. So imagine if you are on a game and you want to change to a specific layer of OBS, you select macro key on your second keyboard and it goes out of the game and OBS maximizes. It's pretty annoying, isn't it? So I put that function on another part so you don't need to open and close the VHelp program. But it's not going to be executed on every keystroke. Another reason that I didn't do it is because the complications of the amount of executions that needs to do is differs from program to program. For example, for OBS, realizing that how many windows it has, the window handles, and how to send its message to OBS is pretty time consuming. So during the loading, you actually see that the OBS goes in front and takes between everything very fast. And that's the fact that I could make the program switch between them and save their key handle. Imagine how slow it would be on every keystroke it does that. It's super annoying. It saves what programs are that you save hotkeys for them is currently running and only send the keystrokes for your hotkey to that program, except DirectX programs, of course. Everything that you change after accepting triggers the cancel and accept button, and it will not apply to the actual shortcut until you press the accept button, except one thing, DirectX API. That's the only thing, because I imagine you don't want to go through all of it. When it gets connected and loads that a program is running, actually loads their icon here. It loads their icon that the program is running. You can see what the program is, the name of the program, everything about the program. But when it's not connected to a program or the program is not running, it just uses an image placeholder instead of it. Okay, we get to these two buttons. What these two buttons do? Okay, this one is the refresh engine button. Some programs like OBS are a little finicky. I still didn't figure out why, but OBS accepts shortcuts once one in between connection. If it gets connected and the OBS is not accepting the shortcuts, the next refresh, it will accept all the shortcuts. I don't know why that's the case. I'm still investigating that bug. But not only this refresh button will fix that, because imagine you have a program that is, for some reason, the program is connected. It tells Windows have actually reported that the program is, these programs are connected to VHelp. But for whatever reason, the end program doesn't feel like accepting the keys. You can just press the refresh button and it will accept. If it's not DirectX, of course, DirectX will always accept. It's for non-DirectX programs. The other thing is that if you change your programs that are for different hotkeys and you want to refresh that, okay, this program, to unload this program hotkeys, load this program hotkey and get connected to this program, get disconnected from this program, again, you use the refresh button. This is a really helpful button that I know that so many people in so many places they're going to use. Okay, remember at the start I said second keyboard command will not appear only at one place. This is the button for it. This button exists if you want to change your second keyboard macros for whatever reason. Everything is still the same because for Windows it doesn't matter. For Windows executing is the same. It's just matching the hardware. Okay. So if you want to change your second keyboard, like you say, okay, I'm gonna use second keyboard, or I don't know, I have like 3 keyboards that it's very unlikely, and I want to switch from this keyboard to this keyboard and this keyboard with my macro keyboards. We use this. Everything is pretty straightforward. Your macros get saved. If you manipulate the DirectX API gets saved. If you don't, it will loads automatically. If you manipulate it, it loads your manipulation. Okay, you can add shortcuts There is only one thing I hate about this UI, which is you dump all of your shortcuts in one place. I probably should in the future releases like separate it by program. Like there should be multiple tabs, one for VTuber Studio that you said, one for OBS, one for another program that you said. It lists all the macros for those programs. I wanted to make it fast, so I come up with this. The first public alpha release, though, it's not supposed to be complete feature. The alpha versions are not always complete. So there is that. But yeah, this is all the things for now. There's not much left to teach in this video. So if anyone wants to help me with this program, they can just DM me Twitter. My Twitter DMs are open. Another thing is that I just tested it on like 3 programs that I had. So I cannot 100% guarantee that it will work on it. I like tested it on VBridge, on VTuber Studio, and OBS. And the only problem that had it was with OBS, that I said it gets properly connected, and OBS will accept its keys one in between for some reason. So if your OBS is not accepting keys, click on the refresh button and it will accept. That's the way it is. But the next refresh after it will not accept, and the next refresh after it will accept. I don't know why is it that way? Specifically for OBS until now. Anyway, for the next features, I'm going to add, actually there's 2 features that need to be added. Actually, it's supposed to be 1, but 1 feature is almost pre-made, so I don't need to implement it completely. I just have implemented. There is virtual keyboard, that if you don't have keyboard and you still want to use like second keyboard functionality, that the virtual keyboard will come and help you. Another one is a Stream Deck, virtual Stream Deck. So actually, I will add whole panel and window that you can use it as a Stream Deck, that you can use your soundtrack, your whatever you want that gets played. It will be fun. That's the next features for next release that I have set in mind. But as far as I'm concerned, this feature is the most complicated feature. Actually, there's 2 features that are really complicated. This one and the iTunes automation. Because I don't like the idea of iTunes being on every time I'm using iPhone tracking by USB. I don't like the idea like at all. So I will add a function to that, but I should kind of reverse engineer iTunes and do the same thing that iTunes does for connecting it. But until then, this is the most complicated feature that is going to be in this. Then there is like virtual Stream Deck, virtual keyboard. Virtual Stream Deck should be able to accept your macros, so you can actually make a virtual Stream Deck, then use soundtracks in that virtual Stream Deck, then add a macro for using that soundtrack from this part of the program. There should be a bridge to OBS for a little helpful things. One of them is like bookmarking at a certain time step on your stream on the fly. Another thing is, I'm not quite sure if I'm capable of handling that, because it needs a server, an actual server to exchange data in between. But ideally, I want the OBS bridge to have like collaboration feature that VTubers can like use that server in between to send their avatars to each other without green screen it from different programs, not just VTuber Studio, because VTuber Studio already have that option. But imagine one person is from VC Face and the other VTuber is from VTuber Studio. These two should have like green screen each other, and that's a very janky solution. There's a help collab option that should be added to OBS for PNGs, not avatars. But yeah, this is like the most complicated feature that we're going to have. And if this feature gets completed, all other gets completed as well. Except the server one, of course. I don't know if I can handle the buying a whole server for this project. Yeah, this is the way it is. Bye!